We have previous arrests. I actually didn't know about this one, but Amber in the past has actually been arrested for the exact same thing she claimed Johnny did to her. That's right, in September of 2009, Amber was arrested for alleged domestic harm against her former partner. Amber dated photographer Tassia Von Ree between 2008 to 2012, and just a year after their relationship started, Amber was arrested. According to TMZ, the two got into an argument at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, and that's where Amber allegedly struck her then girlfriend. Amber was then arrested and booked for misdemeanor domestic harm, but the prosecutors declined to move forward, and the supposed reason was because both women lived in California. However, after this incident, Van Ree actually told people this incident was over-sensationalized before labeling the officers as not accepting towards the two women being in a relationship, and added they were misogynistic. But guess what? The arresting officer had a Uno reverse card moment as it was revealed her name was Beverly Leonard, and even posted onto Facebook sharing she is too a part of the LGBTQ+ community, and says she was definitely not misogynistic either, before adding the arrest was made because she witnessed the incident as they were in a domestic relationship. And for number 9, we have hypocrisy. When you're alleging something as serious as physical harm, you definitely don't want the tables to turn onto you. Well, this is exactly what happened to Amber, as it seems like the whole world was against her. It's obviously not a good trait to be attached, as no one wants to be known as being a hypocrite, but this whole situation was a very serious matter, which makes it that much worse. As much as she claims Depp was the only or main person in the relationship inflicting emotional and physical pain, evidence continued to prove Amber was not as innocent as she presented herself to be. And in June of 2022, an article by The News was released where it discussed how fans of the Pirates of the Caribbean star were labeling Amber as a hypocrite because she claimed she wasn't able to pay him the $10 million in damages, but was pictured getting out of a private plane. I got curious and googled the average cost to rent a private plane per hour, and it can cost anywhere between $2,000 to $14,000, which is still not $10 million, but I mean, I would at least assume Amber would be trying to save her money instead of renting out a private jet. And for number 8, we have You're Fired. This was originally Donald Trump's job on his reality show, but it is exactly what Jason Momoa allegedly tried doing to Amber. If you don't know, the two worked together on the Aquaman movie, and as the second one is about to be released on December 22nd, well, according to a report from Variety, Jason Momoa actually tried to get Amber fired from the movie due to the lack of chemistry between the two actors. In fact, Depp's fans paid the court fees for the release of the documents from Heard's therapist, Dr. Don Hughes. It described a hostile Aquaman set where allegedly an intoxicated Jason dressed up like Johnny Depp and pushed to have Amber removed from her role as Mira. The therapist's notes read, "Jason said he wanted me fired," before adding he was intoxicated late on set, dressed like Johnny, and had the rings on too. However, a DC spokesman denied this even happened, and another anonymous insider spoke to Variety and claims that Jason works hard and likes to have a drink once in a while, but is still professional and never showed up on set intoxicated. This is also crazy, but Warner Bros. And James Wan, the director, actually decided to drop Amber not because of the whole trial, but because of the lack of chemistry. So why did they hire her again for Aquaman 2? Well, according to various reports, the Tesla man himself, Elon Musk, who was Amber's former partner, sent a scorching hot letter to Warner Bros. Which threatened to burn the house down if she wasn't brought back as Mira for the sequel. And for number 7, we have a jar of dirt. During the couple's time in court, the topic of substance usage was often brought up, but it was one of Amber's claims that was kind of just funny. In court, she claimed Johnny owned a jar filled with a special type of powder. Not the powder you set your face with, but the one that the substance is often used by many stars. While Depp whispered to his legal team because he was confused. In fact, the jar she claims was filled with substances was actually dirt. This entire occurrence was quickly shared online as many recognized the similarities between this court incident and one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies where Johnny's character Jack Sparrow sings that he's got a jar of dirt. For number 6, we have Kate Moss's testimony. This supermodel who dated Johnny in 1994 to 1998 actually had to take the stand and testify after Amber claimed the model was once a victim of Johnny, as she insinuated that he once pushed Kate down a flight of stairs. Well, what did the model have to say? She said Johnny never pushed, kicked, or threw her down the stairs, but the incident that was questioned was while the two stars were vacationing in Jamaica. As they were leaving the room, room, Johnny left before Kate, but as soon as she left, she slipped down the stairs and hurt her back and screamed due to the pain and shock. Johnny ran back to help her and carried her to the room and got her medical attention. Very different picture than what Amber painted out. For number 5, we have fake bruises. Amber claimed Depp threw a phone at her in 2016, which left her face with a bruise, but several parties actually refuted this. Time reported some witnesses claimed they saw Amber practicing fake punching with her sister, and Depp's neighbor and childhood friend Isaac Barach was also testifying, and he said he saw Amber shortly after this incident where she was showing him her face for evidence, but when he looked closely, he didn't see any cuts, bruises, swelling, or even redness. The police officers that were also at their home that day failed to see any visible marks on her, which caused a lot of people to speculate if the bruises were even real. Amber's attorney Elaine Redhoft argued that Amber was a master of covering her bruises with Milani Cosmetics all-in-one correcting kit, but the makeup brand Milani themselves debunked this on TikTok as they posted their records showing their correcting kit launched in 2017, which would mean in 2016 Amber was definitely not using that product as it wasn't even released. And for number 4, we have left the country. Well, following the trial, it was pretty much all over for Amber, as it seems like the entire public hated her and no longer trusted a word she said. To add to this, because of the public trial, many members of the public were able to make decisions themselves if they still supported the actress or not. But because she was and is still very disliked, she's pretty much been blacklisted from Hollywood as no one wants to hire her. She also probably has swarms of paparazzi or just people approaching her, so she fled the country. According to sources that are close to her, they claim she moved to Madrid and is bilingual, which allows her to speak Spanish and enjoy her life there. She also moved there with her daughter Unag Page to maybe raise her away from the Hollywood spotlight. But if she was as innocent as she claimed to be, this would be a bad look as she took off after being caught. This occurred nearly a year after the very publicized trial, so many believe she wants to take the time away. Whether it's a permanent move away from Hollywood or just a little break, only time will tell. And for our number 3, we have former assistant claim. Depp's legal team called Amber's former personal assistant, Kate James, to testify against her former boss. This pre-taped video was played in court in April of 2022, where Kate said she worked for the actress from 2012 to 2015 and claimed she was repeatedly harmed. According to Daily Mail, Kate recalls several instances in which Amber would allegedly yell at her in rage, as well as face tons of harmful text messages through the day and night. Apparently the text didn't really make sense, as Kate believes Amber just needed someone to lash out at, which was any time Amber felt like, including at midnight. And in one instance, Kate claims she once asked for a raise and Amber got up from her chair, put her face 4 inches away from Kate's, and said how dare she for asking the salary she wanted to receive, and even spat in her face. And it didn't stop there, as her mistreatment towards her former assistant also extended to Kate's family, including her sister and mother. But Kate also described Johnny as a total southern gentleman who she never saw lose his temper. For our number 2, we have damage towards victims. One important note many took while the whole thing was going down was that Amber was not helping victims of harm at all. She portrayed herself as a victim for years, for it to be revealed she may have not been as innocent as she once seemed. This is extremely damaging for those who are actually in harmful relationships where they fear for the safety of their own lives. In fact, there are plenty of forums online of survivors from previous relationships who have shared their opinion. One user describes how a real victim who was scared of her life wouldn't be asking for $50,000 a month. I mean, your whole life's on the line. There's no way someone in that position would even have the power to ask for something such as money. Not only did Amber ask Johnny for his money, but also for the house, car, and their dogs. The same user described the pain a survivor faces even after they get out of the relationship, and if charges do happen, the survivor often wants a quick trial to get it over with in order to prevent themselves from holding on and thinking about their past experience. But instead, Amber's face was plastered for the whole world to see. Every single news outlet was talking about it, and you could not escape the story even if you tried. I mean, we are still talking about this to this day, and I'm sure this won't be the last. Plus, this user shared vulnerable aspects of trying to heal. Once the relationship was over, which was a whole journey, as she feared dating again and having this happen to her once again. But Amber was able to quickly jump from relationship to relationship, even while she claims to be stuck in an extremely harmful one. In general, Amber painted a bad image for those who have escaped or unfortunately still in these relationships. And in our number 1 spot, of course, we have the recordings. Disagreements can often be a he said she said situation, but in court, the juries must be on the same page as the legal teams try and defend their client. However, when evidence is presented, this is far more convincing as it is actual proof. At first, Depp was thought to be the main alleged aggressor, but the public's perception began to shift once the audio recordings from 2015 were obtained by Daily Mail 5 years later in February of 2020, which Amber appeared to admit to physically harming Depp. In this first recording, heard, I know, a little confusing, but viewers could hear the actors talking about the incident that occurred the night before, in which Depp claimed she punched him. She says, "I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you, it was not punching you." And in the second audio, it appeared like Amber was trying to taunt her partner at the time, as she is heard asking if anyone would even believe that a 115-pound woman attacked him. Quote, "You're going to get up to the stand, you're going to get up on the stand, Johnny, and say she started it, really?" And in a mocking tone, she continued by saying, "You can please tell people that it was a fair fight and see what the jury and judge thinks. Tell the world, Johnny, tell them, Johnny Depp. I, Johnny Depp, a man, I'm a victim too of domestic harm." Do you think Amber is ever gonna make a comeback to Hollywood? Who knows, maybe she'll switch platforms onto TikTok and dance to songs and do makeup transitions.
For number 10, we have Secret Beauty Guru. During the trial, many people were skeptical of the bruises that Amber was showing. In fact, one TikTok video allegedly revealed the bruise kit that she had used. One photo presented during the trial was a picture of Depp on a couch with ice cream all over his pants, and this was presented as evidence of his apparent substance use. But Depp said that it was because he had just fallen asleep. We all know that the internet can be good FBI agents, because viewers noticed when you zoom in on the table in front of him, there was a bruise kit. In fact, the exact product was the Ben Nye bruise kit. Heard held up one of her makeup palettes but admitted that it was not the exact one that she used to carry, but said that she used to carry one all the time. She says she used the color corrector to hide the bruises. She stated, "And then if you want to cover up a bruise, you obviously put foundation first, concealer, and then on top of that, I like to use a bruise kit." She quickly realized she mistakenly said bruised kit, which she then corrected herself and said, "Not a bruise kit, it's a theater makeup kit." And some people pointed out that Amber was definitely lying, because you're supposed to apply color corrector under your foundation and not as the last step. Number 9, we have, wait a second, I can't quite put my finger on it. Oh yep, that's right, we have the broken finger. During the trial, Depp revealed that Amber was angry at him for drinking in Australia while filming one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. But instead of just, I don't know, maybe talking to him, she decided to throw a bottle at him, which led to the top of his finger to be severed off. Well, at least it wasn't his full finger, or else he could no longer give high fives. Depp added that blood was pouring out of his finger and nothing began to make sense. Although he said he didn't know what a nervous breakdown felt like, this time was probably the closest that he felt to that. He hid in the bathroom before being taken to the hospital, where he was actually told them that his finger was caught in a large accordion doors. When addressing why he lied, Depp stated, "I lied because I didn't want to disclose that it had been misheard that had thrown the bottle at me and took my finger off. I didn't want to get her in trouble." And for number 8, we have potty training. This whole situation just got messier and smellier. So shortly after the death of Depp's mother, he decided to go forward with their divorce. He called Amber to tell her that he would not be discussing any of their differences or share any of their mistreatments. So while Amber was partying it up at Coachella, he went to their penthouse to collect some of his belongings. However, when he got there, his security guard told him that it wasn't a good time before showing him a photo on his phone of human waste on his side of the bed. I mean, even my dog knows where to do his business. Apparently, the image revealed that it definitely didn't belong to the couple's teacup Yorkies. Depp said, "It was so outside, it was so bizarre and so grotesque that I could only laugh." He went on to say, "I lived with those dogs for many years. It was clear that it did not come from a dog, it just didn't." Once the news broke out, many people made memes about the situation that are honestly still quite funny. For number 7, we have jealousy. Amber's former nurse testified about notes that she wrote in 2014 when it came to their messy battle. According to the nurse, Amber often expressed difficulties when it came to jealousy and anxiety surrounding Depp's fame and ability to interact with women. The nurse also mentioned a time where Amber became frustrated during dinner at a restaurant, and her previous defense mechanisms included impulsive anger and yelling. At around 1 AM, after an apparent hack on her phone, Amber became irritable and angry as she yelled and appeared agitated. In fact, one of the witnesses who testified tweeted, "Amber was the one acting jealous and crazy," before he appeared in court. Filmmaker Morgan Higbee Knight was the one who tweeted this, and he previously owned a luxury desert trailer park where in 2013, Depp, Heard, and some friends allegedly turned violent. And for number 6, we have infidelity. Although we just discussed Amber's jealousy surrounding Depp and other females, it seems like they are both worried about cheating. In fact, Elon Musk, yes, the founder and billionaire of Tesla himself, was even dragged into this huge scandal. Depp accused Heard of cheating on him with Musk in his defamation lawsuit back in 2019. He claims that the two of them started an affair in 2015, a month after Depp and Heard tied the knot. Apparently, while Depp was out of the country due to filming, an Eastern Columbia building personnel testified that Heard received a text message late at night at Depp's penthouse. More specifically, Heard had asked his employee to give her so-called friend Elon access to the building's parking garage and the penthouse elevator late at night. The building staff even saw Elon leaving the building the very next morning. Depp's attorney claimed in the lawsuit that the first time Musk was in Depp's home was after the severed finger incident in March of 2015. This wasn't all, because another court hearing in 2020 was when Josh Drew, who is the ex-husband of Heard's best friend, claimed that Heard had partaken in some adult stuff with Musk and supermodel Cara Delevingne. This was all during her marriage with Depp. However, Elon denied all of these claims but said he was involved with Amber for about a month after her divorce filing. Well, we'll let you be the judge on this one. Number 5, we have billionaire parties. So the parties Heard would allegedly throw are not the ones that you might be imagining. In fact, Jessica Reed Krause, who has been investigating Amber's past, and in one report detailed Heard's alleged adult parties with many other people, apparently with some of the richest men in the world. And of course, Elon Musk was one of the men who reportedly partook in these parties. She apparently was also trying to get other women to join her party, and Krause's report detailed how she was reported to be the center of attention at most of these parties. And if you're wondering how she had all the attention, well, she would be sitting on a throne in front of the men, and apparently they would bow down in front of her. Yes, she received some royal treatment, but of course, most of the details surrounding these parties are just too graphic to share, so feel free to look it up for the rest of the interesting details. For number 4, we have hiring other girls. This relates back to our last point about these so-called parties, because Krause talked to an unnamed celebrity over the phone regarding all of the details about these secret parties. This celebrity talked about how everyone attending these parties would know the other girls were there for hire, specifically to entertain these billionaires. And she would begin reeling in other young actresses who were also usually into women to make appearances and to perform at these parties for Musk and his tech friends. And obviously these performances were more than just a concert or a dance, as it was very adult themed, if you know exactly what I'm hinting at. Usually these girls were new or upcoming actresses, which made the money probably a lot more of a motive. And in the court trial, Amber herself was accused of being once paid to spend time with those who were looking to hire her. And for number 3, we have extortion. Commentator Andy Signal exposed Amber on his YouTube channel. As he cites information from Krause, he revealed Heard's friendship with Elon dated back to their, what type of party. He says that Elon Musk is indebted to her. A regular at these parties would tell him on the phone. He said it's not surprising to anyone who knows her, Amber was always filming him. Allegedly, she had a method where she would get Elon very messed up so incriminating events could happen and she would film it all. Heard apparently had too much stuff on Elon and all of his friends that just could not come out because of their power and their status, especially because they have families and corporate charities that would cause huge issues if these alleged photos came out. This is one of the reasons why so many people believe Elon still has remained good friends with Amber, as these secret photos could destroy his entire career in just a matter of seconds. And for number 2, we have secret footage. During their court case, Amber presented a video that she secretly recorded on her phone as evidence. The video showed Depp slamming and kicking cabinets in his West Hollywood home while pouring himself a large glass of wine and cursing. At the end of this video, he finds the phone and throws it across the room. Depp responds to this video in court by asking if they have a date for this illegally recorded thing, before saying yes, he did attack a couple of cabinets, but he never touched Amber. So this so-called evidence was not necessarily helpful because there are no laws surrounding kicking and slamming cabinets. In fact, a lot of the public at the time of this court case would bring up how Heard's evidence lacks substance, like this one. And for our number 1 spot, we have pushing Kate Moss. The supermodel was also involved in the messy court battle between this former couple, after Heard alleged that she heard from 2 separate unnamed people that Depp had pushed Kate Moss down the stairs while the two of them dated back in the 90s. But this claim backfired on her big time because Kate Moss herself testified during the trial, and she said that Depp never pushed her or kicked her or even threw her down any stairs. But she did recall one incident that occurred while the two of them were vacationing. So Kate Kate was leaving the room after Johnny, and because there was a rainstorm, she slipped down the stairs and hurt her back. She screamed because she didn't know what had just happened to her and she was in pain. But she recalls that Depp came running back to help her and even carried her back into the room and got her medical attention. Which is obviously a very different story than what Heard tried to recall, because Kate herself debunked those previous claims. Although both parties have faults to admit, it's clear that Heard has been basically blacklisted from Hollywood since she moved away to Spain with one of her daughters, whereas Depp has secured another deal with Disney to continue his role as Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Coming in at number 10 is Raven-Symone's weird TikTok. Last year, a repost of an old TikTok by Raven-Symone of That's So Raven fame went viral. In the video, Raven-Symone claimed to be parked next to Amber Heard at a Tesla charging station, and she was not thrilled about being in the fellow actor's vicinity. Simone and her wife complained about being near her and proceed to laugh about how Heard had allegedly locked her keys in her car and begin to brainstorm ways to get her attention, including Raven's idea of yelling something along the lines of, "I cut my finger too, want to claim it?" Raven also noted that Amber appeared to be in distress, gasping and saying, "Oh my god, she's crying." Miranda, her wife, chimed in by joking that she's probably on the phone with her lawyer. Raven also mocked Amber's then girlfriend, saying, "There's Amber and her lesbian lover, oh my god, she looks like Johnny Depp." All of this hate came about despite the couple taking a photo with Amber. And as Amber's emotions became heightened, Raven decided to lighten the mood by showing Amber the picture they took together and said, "Amber, I'm so sorry you got locked out of your car, but my picture is amazing." Many people came out and said that Raven's behavior was uncalled for, saying that she was petty and mean for posting it. At number 9 is when she brought her dogs to Australia. For all who aren't aware, in order to bring animals to Australia from the USA, they must first be kept in a 10-day quarantine before being free to roam as per Australia's Quarantine Act. During a trip to the country in 2015, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp were caught illegally smuggling their Yorkshire Terriers into Australia, thus defying the Quarantine Act. Allegedly, the now ex-couple said no on their immigration form when asked if they needed to declare any animals, and this subsequently resulted in them getting in trouble with the Australian government for breaching biosecurity laws. I don't know how they thought they'd be able to keep 2 terriers quiet while going through an airport, but I respect them for trying. After they pled guilty to falsifying travel documents in court, the case was closed, with Heard and Depp filming an apology video in which the Pirates of the Caribbean actor urged viewers to declare everything. Depp then told the Jimmy Kimmel Live show about the incident in September 2015, saying, quote, "We were under the impression that we had all the paperwork done for the dogs. We were with the dogs in front of everybody." Depp and Heard's video apology came a year later, in which she added that she was truly sorry for not following the dog declaration rules. At number 8 is when Amber was slapped by Johnny in public. On the 15th day of their divorce trial, Amber Heard took the stand and opened up about a quote, "embarrassing incident that occurred when she and Depp were on a flight in 2014. She mentioned Depp was upset that she was filming with James Franco, who he reportedly hated. After filming an intimate scene with her co-star Franco, Depp began to pester her, asking her for explicit details about it. Not a great conversation to have while sequestered in a plane together. The duo unsurprisingly got into a fight about the issue, which led to Depp throwing ice cubes and utensils at her. Amber said that she took the initiative of changing seats and getting away from him, minding her own business and looking out the window, but Depp did not care for that one bit. As she was sitting away from him, he slapped her across the face, which he claims was due to her not answering his questions. This all happened while his friends were sitting amongst them, and although the slap did not hurt her, as she said, she was embarrassed that it took place in front of people, as it was the first time it had ever happened in public. At number 7, we've got being proposed to without a ring. The biggest divorce scandal of the decade began with a less than desirable proposal. If you couldn't even get a stand-in ring for the big moment, then it's probably not a great sign of what he'll be like for the rest of the marriage. Amber recalls the moment that Johnny asked her to be his wife with affection, calling his proposal traditional and sweet. She said, quote, "He got down on one knee and said, 'I want you to be my girl forever, my woman, my girl, I want you to be the rest of my life, say yes to me.'" Heard said that her reaction to his popping the question was full of blind hope, and said, quote, "I thought if we were married then this was real and it wasn't going to be chaotic anymore and it'll change. I just had so much hope in that moment." Although Johnny seemingly had everything needed for a storybook engagement, he was missing one thing, probably the most important thing, that being a ring. Amber asked if he was serious, wanting him to actually think about his decision, knowing that John had a very impulsive personality. Impulsivity is always a great way to start a long-term commitment, or is it? She also said that she didn't immediately tell anyone because she didn't know if Depp really meant it. At number 6 is the countless times Amber cleaned up after Johnny. Amber claimed that Johnny was the love of her life and perfect in every way except for one. She says he was, quote, "awful." Amber goes on to explain that Depp would often pass out in his own vomit, lose control of his body, and have other people, including her, clean up after him. During the trial, she said, quote, "I mean, this man lost control of his bowels and I cleaned up after him. His security cleaned up after him, changed his pants in front of me, and he would pass out in his own sick." At our halfway point, we have the "my dog stepped on a bee" incident. Amber recounted a 2013 2013 trip she and Johnny took amongst friends, which all led to the fact that her dog had stepped on a bee and they had to take it to the vet. This seemingly came out of nowhere, and a lot of people were confused about the relevance of her statement, seeing that it had very little to do with the important events she had been describing initially. After saying the line, she paused as if to wince in pain, and that moment for whatever reason went incredibly viral, with TikTok trends cropping up of people imitating the expression and stitching videos together with their own random winces. This moment garnered hundreds of videos, which all gathered hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of views. Even celebrities like Doja Cat got in on the trend with a TikTok explaining how her puppy got stung by a bee while squinting her eyes and jerking her head around. You know how she does. But after Doja posted the video, she received a ton of backlash as fans were not happy that the singer was using her platform to seemingly needlessly hate on Amber. At number 4 is the fecal matter testimony. During the trial, Johnny testified that there was a moment when he went to collect his belongings from their Los Angeles penthouse after a particularly bad fight. When he got there, he received a message from his security guard saying it just wasn't a good time, but Johnny said he inquired further, to which he was made aware that there was, quote, human fecal matter on his side of his and hers bed, and was sent a picture of the feces as proof. He added that it was so bizarre and so grotesque that he could only muster up laughter as a reaction. When Amber was confronted, Johnny says that she claimed it was from the dog, citing the bowel control issues one of their shared teacup Yorkies has. As a puppy, the Yorkie in question had gotten into Depp's stash of substances, which led to its current digestive issues. When asked if this was a prank, Heard responded, quote, absolutely not. First of all, I don't think that's funny. I was not in the pranking mood. My life was falling apart. I had just been attacked on my 30th birthday. It was not really a jovial time, and I don't think that's funny. That's disgusting. At number 3 is her alleged wardrobe malfunction. In 2018, the actress was caught by paparazzi at an airport wearing black slacks and a form-fitting white tank top and was apparently braless. This was immediately coined as a wardrobe malfunction by many media outlets. In response to such claims, Amber told Entertainment Tonight, I don't care what people have to say about my fashion choices. I dress for my own self. However, to say I had a malfunction because you could see my body, I'm not ashamed of it. I don't care how it looks to you or the effect it has on you. How dare you tell me it was a malfunction? My nipples are a part of me and they're not a malfunction. Heard also tweeted that it was, quote, a choice and hashtag not a malfunction. Our runner-up on the list is an incident someone had with her aggressive bodyguard. The YouTube influencer Jaclyn Hill told People magazine and TikTok all about what she calls a humiliating run-in she once had with Amber Heard and her bodyguard last year. Hill said she bumped into the actor at Nobu, a Japanese restaurant in Malibu, when Heard's bodyguard allegedly escorted her out of the restaurant. In the TikTok video posted to her account, Hill said that the encounter happened a couple of years ago and starts by saying, quote, time to tell you guys the horrifying and humiliating story of the day that I met Amber Heard. Hill went on to recount that after she and her friends were seated, she noticed a familiar woman sitting on the table next to her, later recognizing her as Heard from her 2006 movie Alpha Dog. Hill said, quote, we were making eye contact every 3 to 5 minutes and it was so awkward and I was like, why does she keep looking at me? Why do I keep looking at her? Once the group paid the bill, as they were walking out of the restaurant, Hill said she couldn't refrain from addressing her, and she went on to claim that they shared a brief, cordial conversation in which she said Heard was so nice to her. Unfortunately, during the conversation, Hill alleged that Amber's security guard physically grabbed her forearm and said that she needed to come with him, proceeding to escort her away from Amber, letting her know that she's not allowed to be speaking with the actress. Hill called the situation, quote, one of the most embarrassing moments of my entire life, but went on to reassure that it wasn't Amber that humiliated her or was even mean to her. Amber and her representatives have never made comment on the incident. Our number 1 spot goes to when Heard alleged that Depp did a cavity search on her. During the trial, Heard alleged that Depp thought she was hiding an illegal substance from him. She recounted while looking visibly uncomfortable and disgusted that he ripped her clothes off of her and conducted a cavity search of her body. She said, quote, I was wondering how I, somebody who didn't do that substance and was against it because it was in and of itself causing problems in our relationship, why would I hide his substances from him? She continued by saying, like he was insinuating that I was doing it or something. It made no sense. And he was telling me we're going to conduct a cavity search, like he just shoved his fingers inside of me. I just stood there while he did it. An allegation to which Johnny denied and offered absolutely no follow-up to.
Number 10, locked out of her car. Last year, Amber was spotted by Raven Simone and her wife at a gas station while she was charging her Tesla. She was seen screaming and crying on the phone. Raven then gets dared to take a picture with Amber, but that led to her getting locked out of her own Tesla. Apparently, when the actress went back to her car after the photo, it was locked with her phone inside, her purse inside, and her jacket. But did Raven Simone stick around to help her out? Well, surprisingly, no. She just laughed about it. The former View host then turned on the camera and said, Amber, I'm so sorry you got locked out of your car, but my picture is amazing. She pointed to a selfie of the two of them at the top of the screen. The funniest part about this was that Amber apparently had no idea who Raven was when she asked to take a photo with her. So far, that video has around 5 million views on YouTube, and the comments are hilarious. One person wrote, not someone with a 5-minute career not knowing an OG with decades-long career. This was also hilarious. And getting the selfie was just a savage receipt. Number 9, the insurance company lawsuit. It was believed that the ordeal between Amber and Johnny ended with their infamous lawsuit. Now, however, it looks like she is once again facing legal issues following the outcome of the trial. Their two legal teams eventually settled the amount which Amber owed, and it turned out to be as much as $15 million. It wasn't long after that she eventually moved to Spain with her daughter to get back on her feet, but now she's once again dealing with legal issues. Her insurance company, New York Marine and General Insurance Co., refuses to drop their case against her. They've already worked out a deal with Depp's team, so she really wants the insurance company to drop their case. Their lawsuit started after she demanded that they pay a portion of her fees owed to by Johnny, and although they acknowledged that she had a $1 million liability policy, one that does cover defamation, there's a provision that they're using against her. Specifically, they claim that they're not liable if she is found to have willfully committed the wrongful conduct. But even now that the amount that she owes him is settled, the company is still refusing to drop the case. Amber pleaded with the judge and said that there is nothing left to dispute, but the insurance company still refuses to stipulate to dismissal of their claims. Number 8. Wanted in Australia. You may remember Amber and Johnny were caught illegally smuggling her Yorkshire Terriers into Australia during that trip in 2015. They defied Australia's Quarantine Act, which requires dogs entering the country from the US to be declared and spend 10 days in quarantine. Amber allegedly said no on her immigration form when asked if she needed to declare any animals, which resulted in her getting in trouble with the Australian government for breaching biosecurity laws. The couple were told in May of 2015 that they could get the dogs out of the country, or Aussie officials would put down the pups, named Boo and Pistol. When asked why Depp wasn't charged as well, the prosecutor's office said that there had been a lack of admissible evidence against anyone except Amber. In a statement, the Australian Department of Agriculture, Water and the Environment said that they are, quote, investigating allegations of perjury by Ms. Heard during court proceedings for the 2015 illegal importation of her two dogs into Australia. They added that investigations are ongoing over allegations that she lied under oath. This was an incredibly serious matter given that perjury carries a maximum jail term of 14 years, while illegal importation can result in a 7-year stretch under the Queensland Penal Code. Number 7. The settlement. Almost a year after the trial ended, Johnny has finally received a settlement of $1 million from Amber's insurance company. He's also chosen the charities that he plans to donate that to. A source close to the actor recently confirmed that he has chosen 5 charities to donate the settlement funds, which include the Make a Film Foundation, the Painted Turtle, Red Feather, Marlon Brando's Tetiaroa Society charity, and the Amazonia Fund Alliance. He plans to donate $200,000 to each of these 5 charities. The Virginia jury originally awarded him $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages, while Amber was awarded $2 million in compensatory damages. The former couple later came to a settlement in December when she agreed to pay him $1 million. At the time, she released a statement saying, "I have made no admission, this is not an act of concession. It's important for me to say that I never chose this. I defended my truth, and in doing so, my life as I knew it was destroyed." While Johnny's lawyer said in a statement that he pledged to donate the settlement money to charity, and it looks like he is making good on his promise. Number 6. Cut out of Aquaman. Several months ago, audience members at CinemaCon were able to view the first trailer for Aquaman in an exclusive screening. Some of them were pretty shocked to see that Amber's character Mira made a brief cameo in the movie, apparently during a battle scene. It's not really a big role, but she is definitely there. During the defamation trial, she testified that her part in the film was significantly cut down after Johnny's legal team called her claims a hoax. She said, "I fought really hard to stay in the movie. They didn't want to include me in the film." Later on, the head of DC Films, Walter Hamada, was called to the stand to talk about diminished screen time. He claimed that the size of her role was determined in the early development of the script, and it was mostly cut down due to lack of chemistry between her and Jason Momoa. This might turn out to be a good decision given the fact that they spent $200 million making this movie, so there is always a lot riding on these kind of superhero films. But as the film was going through post-production this year, it actually wasn't performing very well at test screenings. An insider named Viewer Anon described the consensus of Aquaman 2 as boring, not as good as the first, and potentially one of the worst DCEU movies ever made, even after it went through half a dozen test screenings. So judging by those really harsh reviews, all we can do is wait and see what DC has in store. Number 5. Called out in court. During the defamation trial, Amber was evaluated by clinical psychologist Dr. Shannon Curry, who said that she had grossly exaggerated her symptoms of PTSD. Amber was evaluated over a period of 12 hours in the span of 2 days. The doctor then testified that not only did she not have PTSD, but that she had something else entirely. The result of the test supported 2 diagnoses: borderline personality disorder disorder and histrionic personality disorder. The doctor concluded that Amber had a very sophisticated way of minimizing any personal problems, while having a lot of inner hostility and externalizing blame. She added that there was a desperate fear of abandonment among those with borderline personality disorder, and that the reaction to that is to try to keep a significant other close, and this behavior can become extreme. Quote, when someone is afraid of being abandoned by their partner or by anyone else in their environment and they have this disorder, they'll make desperate attacks to prevent that from happening, and those desperate attempts could be physical aggression, it could be threatening, it could be harming themselves, but these are behaviors that are very extreme and very concerning to the people around them. The doctor said that in this case, Amber was prone to reacting in a heightened manner that is exhausting for her partners. Number 4, exposed for the fake pledge. When the ACLU said to Amber that she only donated $1.3 million of the $3.5 million that she pledged to the organization from her divorce settlement. Terence Doherty, the general counsel and chief operating officer, said in a recorded deposition that the organization received 4 donations from her, which totaled $1.3 million. However, when Johnny and Amber reached a divorce settlement in 2016, she announced that she would donate the entirety of her $7 million divorce settlement to charity, saying that the money would be split between the 2 organizations, the American Civil Liberties Union and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, which meant that the ACLU should have received $3.5 million. But it turns out that only one of those payments was from Amber directly, a payment of $350,000 back in August. The other payments were from Johnny and a fund set up by Elon Musk. Later on in the trial, when Amber took to the stand, she said that she still planned to donate all the money that she promised, claiming that it was the trial that was stalling her payments. Number 3, caught in a lie. During a testimony from Morgan Tremaine, the former TMZ journalist, he established that the celebrity news publication had been able to publish exclusive photos and videos of Amber during the early stages of her contentious divorce from Johnny, based on tips that they received about her whereabouts. This contradicted the recorded testimony from Amber, saying that she was caught off guard by the presence of the photographers, and that she had no idea how TMZ got a hold of the story. Tremaine testified that he dispatched paparazzi to stay outside of the LA courthouse based on an anonymous tip to capture photos of her in 2016, when she filed for a temporary restraining order against Johnny. During the cross-examination, Elaine Brenhoft said to Tremaine, quote, "This gets you your 15 minutes of fame, doesn't it?" In response, he said, "I could say the same thing about you taking Amber Heard as a client. That wasn't just a sick burn, the way that he clapped back at Elaine was truly an amazing courtroom moment." Number 2, the poop testimony. Johnny Depp told the court that as his relationship with Amber unraveled, he wanted to collect his belongings from the LA penthouse. He said that he let their security guards know he planned to go inside the building, but he received a message from them saying that it wasn't a good time. Johnny said that he wanted to know why, and when he was told that he should wait because there was a quote, human fecal matter on his side of the bed. The actor then added that he was sent a picture of the feces as proof, saying that it was so bizarre and so grotesque that he could only laugh. Well, I'm sure that that was the court's reaction too. He said that when confronted, Amber tried to blame it on their Yorkies, but from the way that he described the whole incident, it was clear that she had actually defecated on the bed. His bodyguard, Starling Jenkins, told the court that he spoke to Amber about the surprise that she left in his boss's bed prior to leaving the apartment, and at the time she called it a horrible practical joke gone wrong. And coming in at number 1, my dog stepped on a bee. Amber narrated the events surrounding a 2013 trip that she and Johnny took with their friends. She ended the story by claiming that her dog stepped on a bee the very next day, which led them to taking the dog to the vet. A lot of people were confused about the relevance of her statement, seeing that it had very little to do with the important event that she was describing. But after saying the line, she paused as if to wince in pain. That moment went mega viral. The entire internet seemed to joke about the moment, and many hopped on TikTok to imitate her expression. They became obsessed with the clip and stitching together videos of their own random rhymes and winces. In the end, hundreds of videos were made, gathering hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. Even celebrities like Doja Cat got in on the trend. She was mimicking Amber's testimony and went on TikTok explaining how her puppy also got stung by a bee, while squinting her eyes and jerking her head. After that video resurfaced, backlash exploded on Twitter, and fans were not happy that the singer was using her platform to pile on Amber. But for some reason, so many people were doing the same thing at the time. It was probably one of the most iconic testimonies of the trial.